So before we start the video, got a quick update on a previous video. Some of you might remember I did a video on a Coast flashlight that I bought, and the reason I bought it was because my Milwaukee 800L flashlight just randomly stopped working. About a week after posting that video, Milwaukee reached out to me and said, hey, we want to see if we can figure out what happened to that flashlight. Can we send you out a new one, and we'll send us back the old one. We'll take a look at it. I said, that's awesome. So there we go. I was going to go through the whole warranty process for it just so I kind of get a sense of what it is, but I don't know. I guess we'll call it YouTuber privilege, and yeah, it just kind of saved me the hassle. I mean, pretty much from what the description for comments in that video, the process seems like it's pretty streamlined. I just skipped the part where I called them and they called me instead, or contacted me instead. And yeah, they just sent me out a box with a label on it and a lithium warning label on the thing, and I took the old one, wrapped it up, stuck it in there, dropped it off at FedEx, and a day later this guy showed up. So yeah, that's the update for that. As far as while we're doing updates, this little Coast flashlight, I kind of like it. It's been working out good for me so far. So yeah, that's about it for that. Let's get to the video. Now, getting to the video at hand, what we're talking about today is this here power inverter that runs off of standard DC tool batteries. This particular one will do yellow, DeWalt obviously, the teal, which would be the Makitas, and obviously the Milwaukee Reds. I went with the Milwaukee one just because I have more Milwaukee spare M18 batteries laying around as compared to the DeWalt's, where I mostly use those. I'm just now getting into the M18 field, but I don't see why there'd be a difference aside from the connection point on the bottom as to the different brands. So we're going to take a look at this guy. The main reason I bought this, the only reason I bought this, is because some of you know that I'm a field service technician in the material handling industry, which would be forklifts, and occasionally I need my laptop sitting next to me while I'm doing diagnostics, either to read PDF files for diagnostics, schematics, and what have you, and occasionally I need to do a little flashing on the software on the different control units on said forklifts. So problem I run into on occasion is just finding something to plug my laptop into. Laptop's kind of old. I think I get about 45 minutes out of a charge on the thing, and it would come in handy for me to be able to just have this thing sitting next to me while I'm charging my laptop, while I'm doing my thing, and not having to worry about constantly closing and unlocking the laptop to save the battery from dying on the thing. And also, you know, when you're flashing software into something, it's not a good idea for your laptop to die when that happens. So yeah, let's get into this guy. So starting off, this is just a generic one that I bought off of Amazon. The Milwaukee, DeWalt, they're all around the same price, around $100. I'm feeling kind of cheap, especially for what the heck I need this for. I'm kind of hoping that me spending $50 on this thing doesn't turn into me spending an extra $100 for the real one, because this one doesn't work, but we're going to find out throughout the video here. The name of this particular tool is the Livowalny. In typical Chinese tool company naming, they just throw darts at a board with a bunch of English letters on it, and then they get to a point where they got something that looks like English, and then they just slap it on a tool, because I've asked both people in my house who read a lot better than me, and they couldn't figure it out either. But goofy name aside, features that come with this guy would be the little light on the side of it. 200 lumens is what they're claiming there. USB-C up at the top here, and 2 USB-A. We are looking at 2.1 amps. I'm pretty sure, usually from past experience, the 2 USB-As are probably sharing that 2.1 amps. I'm a little curious if the USB-C gets its own feed as far as that goes, but we'll check that out throughout the video. And you have a 200 watt 120, 60 hertz outlet on this thing. 200 watts is, so it's like 1.5 amps is what you're looking at AC, which is basically nothing. Short of charging a laptop, maybe run a fan off the thing, an electric razor. There's really not too much. I actually had a lot of trouble finding something that would come close to 200 watts without it being a heating element or something like that. And yeah, so we're gonna test the output on this thing as best we can. And yeah, we got I think that's about it as far as the features on this thing. So yeah, let's flip the old camera down, take a look at her. We'll check out some stuff, and yeah, go for there. So this is it all set up in its glory here. On the top you got two buttons, power button and the cycle for the lamps. So you would do that. Little green indicator there indicates that it's on, oddly enough. And you got a little light on the side here, which surprisingly you're not going to be able to tell a difference because the camera adjusts for different lights. But surprisingly, is actually a usable light on the side here. You know, the equivalent of something you'd see on the side of on the front of a drill. But it's got a few different power settings: high, medium, low, and off. All right, we got the old DC power supply hooked up to this thing, putting out 20 volts. We're going to be doing a little picture-in-picture action here. And it plugged in. Looks like it's not pulling any amps. Right there would be the amp scale. Not pulling any amps without the thing turned on, which is kind of nice. It means that you should theoretically be able to leave this thing plugged in without worrying about it sucking your battery dead over time. I still wouldn't do it. That's just my personal thing, but I mean, like I said, that's what it's showing there. We turn it on in complete standby mode with just a little LED lighting up and waiting for something to be plugged into it. We're looking at about 1/10 of an amp. Again, that's pretty low. So let's come over here. Let's put this light on low so as to not blow out the camera, but give you a better indication as to whether or not this thing is going to, well, you know what, let me turn this light down. You might be able to see. No, it doesn't help at all. Yeah, the indicator light on the thing. So let's come over here and just start ramping the voltage down. Normally with lithium ion batteries, I think like 13.5 is as low as you want to get them. From my experience, most of these tools, you're looking at around 14 volt cutoff voltage where it'll shut off because of low voltage. So yeah, let's turn this guy down and see where it actually cuts off at. Kind of got to go slow because the resolution on my power supply doesn't quite go as fast. So now we are at 14, and the indicator on the thing turns red if you can't see that once you get into the low voltage range. So we're going to ramp it down past 14, and at 13.8 it is flashing. I'm going to come, oh yeah, it just cut off 13.8. So let's try that again just to make sure. I'll do the fine adjustment. Let's see if I could catch it right when it does it. Turn that light back on. Yeah, 13.7, 13.8. It starts flashing, telling you that you're close, and then it cuts off. Yeah, it's 13.75, I think we'll call it. So a little on the low end as far as cutting the battery voltage off, but I don't think you're going to do any damage to your battery if you drop it down that low, especially because if you got a load on the thing, the battery's going to recover back up to 14 some odd volts. So I give that a pass. So being that I don't have two different load testers, so I could test the USB-C and the USB-A separately. Like we had before, we got 3 amps coming out of the guys, so I got the new Milwaukee flashlight, which I'm kind of just looking at right now, but as you can see, it's orange, so it needs to be charged. We'll put this on the USB-C, which I'm actually just noticing now has USB-C the updated version of this, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, we'll hook this up with this guy, and then we'll hook this up, see what this is pulling, and we'll yank down on this guy and see what we can get out of it. All right, this big old mess of wires here. I like to plug this into there, but it blocks the USB with this here load tester. So let's take this guy and plug it into the tester over here. Grab the wrong side. And we'll see what this is pulling. Alright, the Milwaukee flashlight is pulling 1.2-ish amps. And we'll plug in the old load tester here. I'm set at 1.6. Let's kind of crank that down a little bit, so in case something does happen there. Alright, we got that 1.3 plus 1.2. And yeah, we're already starting to drop. So between all three of them, you're getting 3 amps total. So it's splitting the power between all of them. So now let's get into the AC end of this thing, which is the whole reason I bought this guy. One thing you got to remember with any power inverter, AC sine wave coming out of your wall is a nice clean up and down kind of motion as it's going through 120, then the neutral, and then back up to 120. These things, basically what they do is they just kind of chop the voltage and simulate an AC sine wave. Not a problem. Some computer stuff doesn't like it. Like I said, you're not running much off of this aside from a charger. They're claiming 200 watts. So what I got over here is a little watt meter. I'll plug that in. And that guy will light up. And make sure we're on outlet 1. We are set for watts over here. Now, again, I was having problems finding anything to do 200 watts. It's kind of like Price is Right rules. You got to hit 200 watts without going over it. And the closest thing I could get, I got this old, you ain't even going to be able to see that, an old squirrel cage fan sitting over here. And we will plug this in. To outlet number 1. Let me get this up here. There we go. Everything's happy. Kind of cycle through. 121 volts, 0 amps, 60 hertz. And 0 power factor because nothing's running, and we're running off of wall outlet power right now. And we're back to watts, so we're going to put this on the high setting. It's going to get a little noisy. Just blew all the dust off of my bench. But we're looking at about 163 watts. That's as close as I can get as far as 200 watts. Now we got the old power inverter here. And let's see if it'll actually run this 163 watts. I know it does because I checked earlier, but just to show you. Oop, helps if you turn it on. There you go, it's on. Now, I don't know if you could hear that, but that fan motor has a bit of a hum to it. I'm guessing without stepping out of my lane, fan motors have like a step style speed control on them. Basically uses capacitors and resistors for efficiencies. Back in the day, they used to just use resistors, but it was really inefficient because anything that wasn't turning the fan motor was getting lost in heat through the resistors. And I'm thinking the step voltage that's going on coming out of this thing is kind of making that hum a little bit. I did let this run for like 5 minutes. It didn't seem like it was hurting the fan at all, but again, I'll never use it for a fan, so I'm not that worried about it. So I don't know, let's try this guy out for what I actually bought it for, and that's charging my laptop, which I let die last night. And yeah, let's see if it'll do that guy. So here's the thing sitting over here. We got the standard power brick for a laptop. This is an old laptop. The plug's back here somewhere, so we're going to plug that guy in. And that thing is on. And it's actually already showing that it's charging. Like I said, I let this thing run down pretty low so I get a good whack at it. And we'll see if she powers up. We're not getting much help from the battery here. Old ThinkPad. I only ever use this for, like I said, flashing software and reading PDFs, so it doesn't need to be anything more than it actually is. So jump ahead, because this thing takes a month of Sundays to actually boot up. Yeah, it's working just fine. You're not going to be able to see it, but over here in this corner, it's showing that it's charging. So that's a good thing. And I'm talking, yeah, we're at 6% right now while it's charging. But yeah, it seems to power up the old laptop. Let's take, just for the heck of it, unplug that guy. And this thing just went into cool-down mode. This guy over here. Sounds like a jet engine taking off. Yeah, charging this little power brick here. Let me get this thing in here. Alright, got that thing quieted down. Yeah, so charging off the power brick, we're looking at roughly 13 watts this thing takes to charge. So, yeah, like I said, not much. Nowhere near the 200 watts that this thing claims to be able to put out, but again, that's all I'm ever going to use it for. So, yeah, that's about it. I would like to do it with this thing in line with everything, but it just doesn't, you know, it's not a good idea to mix all this different stuff in the thing there. I'm worried about frying something. So, yeah, that's about it for this. So there we go. That is the Livowalny. Guys, you got plenty of English-speaking expats in your country. Just write this name down and walk up to one of them and ask if they can read it. If they can't, you need to go back to the drawing board, because that's not a word. But yeah. So all that aside, the light thing, I kind of like that. That's pretty cool. 3 amps on the USB output. That's very usable. AC output on the fan. The fan didn't seem to like it too much. I mean, as far as the motor, it was humming a little bit, but it seemed to work. Like I said, I ran it for 5 minutes and it didn't start smoking. So take that for what it is. There's really not too much in that 200 watt range you're going to be running off of this thing, so I wouldn't bother if it was me. I just wanted to charge my laptop, which it seems like it does perfectly fine. Again, they make these in all the battery colors. I'll link this particular one. If you got a different color battery, you could scroll down. $50. How could you go wrong? I don't see you going wrong as compared to usually the 100-ish bucks that the brand names for these sell. So yeah, I think that's about it for this video. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the old comment section. I will do my best to get back to you. And yeah, that's another video. I'd like to thank you for watching. There you go.